You wake to the smell of cheap perfume and whiskey-soaked wood in a cramped room above a saloon. The gaslight flickers as distant piano music mingles with drunken shouts, while your corset digs into ribs from last night's work. But the true paradox begins when you count last night's earnings, more than the town doctor makes in a week. You scrub your body in cold water from a chipped porcelain basin, wincing at purple bruises along your ribs while deliberately avoiding the tarnished mirror. The scent of lye soap mixes with stale whiskey from last night's clients as you swallow bitter herbs, chamomile and pennyroyal, to prevent pregnancy. Downstairs, the saloon keeper bangs his fist on your door. 5 minutes, Lily. The miners are here early. Unlike your pH-balanced cleansers and dermatologist-recommended retinol, their beauty treatments involve mercury-laced face paints that slowly poison the skin, causing tremors and tooth loss by age 30. Then you dress quickly in a stiff corset and stained chemise, the fabric rough against fresh welts. The room reeks of cheap perfume and sweat, your own and others, mingling with chamber pot odours seeping through floorboards. 78% of prostitutes in Dodge City contracted syphilis by 25. Yet doctors refused treatment unless you paid triple the standard fee. You swallow another gulp of whiskey to numb the ache, knowing today's earnings must cover tomorrow's laudanum. The saloon keeper's footsteps retreat down the hall as you pin back unwashed hair, your fingers brushing a scab behind your ear from last Tuesday's violent client. Your reflection in the cloudy glass shows hollow eyes and cracked lips, signs of the pale sickness that plagues half the women in your profession. Unlike your SPF 50 moisturizers and vitamin C serums, their skincare routines involve arsenic wafers to achieve porcelain skin, resulting in rashes and eventual organ failure. You dab rice powder on your cheeks, the gritty texture scraping against your skin like sandpaper. A child's cry echoes from the room next door. Another prostitute's infant, destined for the orphanage by week's end. You swallow your bitterness with another sip of whiskey, the burn familiar as breathing. The basin water turns grey as you scrub away last night's shame, your knuckles raw and bleeding. Outside, a rooster crows while the sun bleeds through grimy window panes, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. You count the coins hidden beneath your floorboards. $12.40, enough to escape by winter if consumption doesn't claim you first. The saloon keeper's voice rises again, sharper this time. You grab a vial of lavender oil to mask the whiskey on your breath, its floral scent a fragile shield against the day's degradation. Unlike your telemedicine appointments and prescription antibiotics, their medical care consists of leeches and mercury pills administered by drunken barbers with blood-crusted sleeves. You adjust your corset, steeling yourself for the first client's rough hands and stale breath. The bruises will deepen, the herbs will fail, and the money will never be enough. As you descend the creaking stairs, you enter a world where your body is currency. but society treats you like garbage. You step onto the wooden sidewalk, the morning sun glinting off broken whiskey bottles in the gutter. Respectable women in crisp calico dresses clutch their children and cross to the opposite side, their eyes averted as if you carry plague itself. Yet tonight, their husbands will slip through your door, coins clutched in sweaty palms, demanding the very services they publicly condemn. Unlike your anonymous online trolls who hide behind avatars, their judgment comes with spitting distance and pointed fingers. The town marshal tips his hat as he passes, ignoring the vagrancy laws that could land you in jail for loitering. Laws never applied to the men who keep you in business. Last week, Mary Ann got 30 lashes for public indecency, while the banker who paid her drank whiskey with the mayor that same evening. 92% of prostitution arrests in 1878 were women, despite clients outnumbering them 10 to 1. You adjust your shawl, the wool scratchy against sunburned skin, and keep walking. Church bells ring as Sunday service lets out, the congregation spilling onto the street like oil. The preacher locks eyes with you, his voice rising as he damns harlots and Jezebels from the pulpit steps. Tomorrow, he'll knock on your door, hat in hand, borrowing money for his daughter's wedding dress. Money earned from the sins he preaches against. Unlike your cancel culture, where careers end over past mistakes, their hypocrisy carries no consequences. You drop a coin in the beggar's cup, his gratitude more genuine than any parishioner's prayer. Children point and whisper as you pass the schoolhouse, their teacher quickly shushing them. These same children will grow up to become your clients, bringing their wives' perfume on their collars and their fathers' prejudices in their pockets. The general store owner refuses to serve you, but sells you overpriced soap through the back door at midnight. You count your steps. 12 blocks to the saloon. 12 opportunities for spitting, shaming, or sudden violence. Unlike your safe spaces and trigger, this hypocrisy isn't just background noise. It's the air you breathe, the food you chew, the bed you lie in. Unlike your performative activism, their systemic corruption wears no mask. The saloon sign creaks in the wind as you approach, the promise of today's earnings warring with the certainty of tonight's degradation. You'll earn $5 for services that cost a doctor $1 to treat the diseases you'll inevitably catch. This hypocrisy fuels your workday, where you'll earn $5 for what costs a doctor $1. You push through the saloon's bat-wing doors into a haze of tobacco smoke and spilled beer. The piano player thumps out a ragged tune as 12 pairs of eyes turn towards you. Hungry, calculating, devoid of warmth. You'll entertain 15 men today, earning $10 to $20 for services that leave your body bruised and your spirit fractured. Unlike your hourly wages with overtime protection, their labour has no safeguards, no breaks, no sick days. No right to refuse violent clients. The first customer grabs your wrist, his breath sour with cheap whiskey, as he shoves coins into your corset. Make it quick, he grunts, already fumbling with his belt. And you count to 20 in your head, a trick to detach your mind as the rough wood of the wall splinters against your back. 63% of prostitutes report physical violence weekly. Yet calling the sheriff means paying him to look the other way. Unlike your HR departments and assault protocols, their only protection is hidden knives and whispered warnings between women. Between clients, you darn silk stockings in the dim corner, needle pricking calloused fingers. The afternoon brings railroad workers reeking of sweat and creosote, their hands calloused from laying tracks. They pay double for extra time, their roughness leaving marks you'll powder over later. You smile through the pain, performing enthusiasm they crave but never deserve. The piano covers your whimpers as the bartender looks away, another silent accomplice in this daily degradation. Unlike your performance reviews and customer feedback surveys, their job performance is measured in bruises and tears. By dusk, you've served 14 men, your body a collection of aches and your spirit worn thin. You count $18.75, enough for laudanum and maybe a new dress if the mercantile owner doesn't overcharge you again. The doctor treating your syphilis symptoms charges triple the fee he demands from respectable women, fully aware you have no alternative but to pay. This income demands a price your body cannot sustain. Yet, in a society that only values women's labour when it involves sexuality, what alternatives remain available? Your career paths and side gigs differ fundamentally from their work, which functions as a prison, presenting itself as opportunity. You slide gold coins into the hollow bones of your corset, the cold metal pressing against bruised ribs. Each coin represents a night of degradation, a dollar saved toward escape. 40% of prostitutes attempt suicide, but you stitch hope into every hidden scene. A map folded beneath floorboards, train schedules memorized between clients. Unlike your emergency fund apps and digital banking, their wealth is measured in tangible, stealable fragments. In whispered hallways, you exchange warnings about violent clients with the women in adjoining rooms. Jenkins has a knife, murmurs Rose, her voice raw from last night's screaming. You form a fragile sisterhood, sharing laudanum when money runs short, covering shifts when fever strikes. These protection societies are your only defense in a town where the sheriff profits from your suffering. Unlike your support groups and hotlines, their solidarity is forged in shared blood and whispered secrets. By candlelight, you practice reading ledgers stolen from the mercantile, tracing numbers with a trembling finger. Education is your silent rebellion, each word decoded, a step toward independence. The schoolmarm teaches respectable girls to embroider, but you teach yourself arithmetic, calculating interest rates on loans you'll never qualify for. Unlike your online courses and literacy apps, their knowledge comes at the risk of being called uppity or beaten for forgetting your place. You sew coins into the hem of your only dress. The needle piercing fabric and skin alike. Each stitch is a defiance. I will not die here. The saloon keeper demands his cut, the doctor his fees, but you hide enough to buy passage east if consumption doesn't claim you first. This fragile resilience can't shield you from the psychological damage, but it keeps tomorrow's hope alive. Nightmares replay violent clients in sweat-soaked sheets, hands around your throat, whiskey breath in your face, the splintering of bone against wall. You wake gasping, trembling hands reaching for the laudanum bottle before dawn even breaks. 40% of prostitutes attempt suicide, their minds unravelling under the weight of unspeakable acts performed nightly. Unlike your therapy sessions and antidepressants, their mental health care consists of whiskey and opium, temporary escapes that deepen the addiction. You drink to forget, but the memories seep through the haze. The banker who cried afterward, the cowboy who laughed while breaking your wrist, the preacher who prayed aloud during his visits. Each encounter carves new scars on your psyche, invisible but heavier than any physical bruise. You smile through the tears, performing happy. The hollow eyes in the mirror grow stranger each day. Sometimes they're not yours at all, but Maggie's, who walked into the river last winter. You hear her voice in the piano music, in the clink of coins, in the whisper of the wind through cracked window panes. The town doctor calls it hysteria and prescribes more mercury, while the saloon keeper calls it melancholy and waters down your whiskey. Unlike your trauma-informed care and crisis hotlines, their suffering is pathologized but never treated. You paint your face with rice powder. You powder over fresh bruises with rice flour, the gritty texture scraping against tender skin like sandpaper. The mirror reflects a stranger, hollow eyes, cracked lips, and the ghost of last night's terror lingering beneath the porcelain mask. You twist corset laces until your ribs ache, steeling yourself for the performance ahead. Unlike your 10-step skincare routines and silk pajamas, their evening preparation is armour forged in desperation. The scent of cheap rosewater mingles with whiskey as you downstairs. The saloon fills with cowboys reeking of cattle and sweat. You hear the piano start, a discordant rhythm that will cover tonight's screams. You check your hidden knife, its cold weight a fragile reassurance against the 40% chance of violence. The saloon keeper nods, his eyes calculating tonight's profit from your body. Unlike your safe spaces and consent workshops, their workplace offers no refuge from predation. You force a smile as the first customer approaches, your practiced laugh echoing hollowly in the smoky air. The clock strikes midnight, your true workday beginning. The powder cracks at the corners of your mouth, revealing the exhaustion beneath. This cycle of preparation and performance mirrors patterns we still see today. You scroll through glowing screens at 2 a.m., your OnlyFans notifications blinking like digital coins. Today's workers still face stigma while serving society's hidden demands. Only 12% have legal protections globally, yet porn profits exceed $97 billion annually. Unlike your pseudonymous profiles and encrypted payments, their earnings were physical gold coins that could be stolen or seized. The algorithmic feeds that push empowerment narratives hide the same brutal math. 60% of modern sex workers report violence, while platforms take 40 to 80% cuts. You see echoes of your past in every financial dominatrix TikTok and sugar baby podcast. The same transaction wrapped in new technology. Unlike your trauma-informed hashtags and mental health resources, their support systems remain fragmented and criminalized. Street-based workers still avoid mirrors, still hide money in shoe soles, still calculate escape plans between clients. The names change: escort, cam girl, content creator, but the bruises look identical. You recognize the hollow smile in every Instagram post, the same performative enthusiasm you wore nightly. Unlike your unionization efforts and labor protections, their bodies remain battlegrounds where capitalism and morality collide. The Wild West never ended. It just moved online. Saloon keepers became site owners. Doctors became telehealth providers. But the transaction remains unchanged. You watch documentaries about Victorian prostitutes and whisper lessons to your phone. Hide your money. Know your exits. Never trust the preacher. This cycle mirrors patterns we still see today. You fall asleep counting coins that can't buy health or respect. The metallic clink, a lullaby for the broken. Your grave will read unknown woman, though you built this town. Every nail in the saloon, every plank in the mercantile, paid for with nights of degradation. Unlike your historical plaques celebrating pioneers and mayors, their unmarked graves litter the hillsides, erased by the very societies they sustained. Modern workers still trade longevity for income. Dig drivers with ruined spines, warehouse workers with collapsed lungs, content creators with fractured psyches. The names change, but the transaction remains. Bodies sacrificed to systems that profit from their erosion. You recognize the pattern in every gig economy app and Amazon warehouse. The same calculus of survival that kept you counting coins until dawn. The saloon keeper's descendants run Fortune 500 companies now. Their wealth built on the foundation your body provided. The mayor's great-grandchildren give speeches about community values in buildings erected with brothel taxes. History writes itself in ledgers that never balance the true cost of progress. Unlike your reparations and truth commissions, their debts remain unpaid, their stories untold. As you drift towards sleep, the coins in your corset grow cold against your skin. Somewhere, a woman is scrubbing bruises in cold water, swallowing bitter herbs, steeling herself for another night of survival. The cycle continues, unbroken by time or technology. Consider whose bodies build your world today.